It's all about the Macro Productions.
What does the goddamn line say, Tony?
Please do not use gendered language.
Then what? I'll be arrested, put in airport jail?
Look, you're going completely sideways, man.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
How dare you?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dave on NBC.
Jack Marius Tack-Theratrix.
Hi, I'm Spartacus.
Jackson, Sacramento, he, him.
Steven Seagal.
Sex offender guy.
I'm Keith Morris.
This is Muammar Gaddafi.
I'm Rick James, bitch.
Sorting through the lies.
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site, if you can believe that.
We cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
And uncovering the centuries-long plan for world domination.
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Let's talk about Chinese people.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Swangles in Fort Lauderdale?
I have sent 6 of my Libyan missiles to blow up the Sears hardware department.
Nothing could be more fun than jumping off a cliff with 2 German bisexuals.
Oh, you English are so superior, aren't you?
Thank you, comrade.
And now, Macroaggressions.
That's what assholes call it.
With your host,
Buddy, I don't know who you are, but you're about to get chlamydia.
Charlie Robinson.
Hey, Whitey, where's your hat?
You want to drop the blame on Charlie and say it's all Charlie's fault.
He was a retard.
I get some goddamn diuretic.
Welcome to Macroaggressions. I'm your host, Charlie Robinson. If you are watching us on Rumble, Band.video, now back on YouTube, or you're listening wherever podcasts are served, thanks a million. We appreciate your amazing and continued support over the years. If you want to connect with me, macroaggressions.io is the website. You can check out the news sites over activistpost.com and naturalblaze.com. Our sponsors are amazing. They help to keep this show going. I asked Tim James before Christmas, hey, do you have any leads on companies that make grounding mats? I need one of them. I'm in an office that's got 3 computers and lights and electronic stuff all over the place. I'm in like a toxic electronic smog, and I need some help. And he said, yeah. As a matter of fact, you need to talk to this company, Ground Lux, and you can either get a grounding mat for them, which I now currently have under my desk, or you can get grounding sheets. They're the number one best-selling grounded sheets. They're fitted sheets. They're 90% organic cotton, 10% silver fiber, and they're machine washable. You just put it on your bed, and your bed turns into a grounding mat. So, I don't know. It's a U.S.-based company. They have 60-day return. If you don't like it, I guess just send it back. But if you go to Ground Lux, GROUND, LUXE.com, Ground Lux, the link is down in the notes. Use the discount code MACRO. It'll save you some money. I like it. I'm glad I got it. I bought a couple of them, gave them out as Christmas presents. So if you are interested and you need a grounding mat or grounding sheets, then check out Ground Lux. Go to groundlux.com and use the promo code MACRO. And this new sponsor is, if somebody out there, if you guys own your own home, you got equity in it, and you have good credit, and you're reasonable with your money, and you have good cash flow, you're not like struggling every month. There are options out there that can help you pay your mortgage in between 5 and 7 years. And it sounds kind of like bullshit the first time you hear it. And then you dig into it and you find out, no, it's not. It's actually legit. I got hooked up with this company called Replace Your Mortgage by Texas Larry, my Legal Shield guy. And this company's great. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They've helped over 10,000 people do this. But it is really quite something. And I've spent 30 years in real estate, and I didn't know about this. And part of me feels a little dumb for not knowing about it, but better late than never, I suppose. If you are interested, there's more to this than I can explain right now. And there's a great video that they have if you're interested in finding out more about it. Again, you have to own your own house. There's certain criteria. This is not for everybody. And it is not a scam. And by the way, it's not paying extra payments. You don't need a company to help you do that. It's not refinancing your mortgage. It's not recasting your mortgage. You can do all those things. You don't need this company for any of those things. It's not that, okay? It's not magic. It's just math. And this is a bank killer. So if you are interested, I've got a website that you can go to specific to the show, wipeoutyourmortgagenow.com. wipeoutyourmortgagenow.com. Just go there, wipeoutyourmortgagenow.com, or, bookmark it, whatever, watch it when you can. It's like a 20-minute video. You got to put your email address in there. Just do it and watch the video, and then, see for yourself after that. It's worth checking out. It's something that I think, listen, I got no love for the banks, and this puts a gigantic hole in their entire business model. And if too many people find out about this, they'll probably shut it down. But not now. So if you're interested, go check it out. All right. Well, this episode is going to be a lot of fun. And I say that knowing damn well that some episodes are kind of depressing, like when you're talking about global enslavement and you're talking about, maybe we're all going to be stuffed into a concentration camp and eat the bugs and things like that. You go, oh my God, do I have to? I promise you this episode is going to be fun. We're going to talk about the most dangerous animal in the world. And I am going to make fun of these liberal women so hard. It's going to be great. I want to talk to you about them. I not just like we're in a zoo pointing and laughing at them. We can do that. We don't, we can do that whenever we want. But I have the goods on them. I went out and just scoured and found as much information as I could on the different breeds of these liberal women. They're like, well, they're like aliens. Like there's a gray, there's a reptoid, there's a tall white. They're like different species. All these liberal women, they come in different forms, and it's not one size fits all. The insanity casts a wide net, and it brings in all kinds. We're going to examine the different breeds of leftists out there. They're not going to be happy about it. But I brought the receipts, so they can be unhappy all they want. We're going to talk about that. We're going to detail the hypocrisy of the left. I mean, as if I didn't already detail it in a book called Hypocrisy. But so much more has happened since that book has come out in 2021. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. I've got details on the tactics that they're using. It's pretty, it's pretty important that we recognize them so that you can steer clear of them, because anybody's a target. When you're talking about unhinged leftist women, liberal white women are going to get us all killed, right? That's pretty much known. But there's different tactics that they use, and their behavior is unhinged. I feel in part kind of like Jane Goodall sitting in the woods, with binoculars, examining the apes down there and watching, oh, this is fascinating behavior. The females pick the lice off of the males and things that, I'm there with my clipboard and my notes, watching. It's oh, this is interesting. The blue-haired leftist is immune to criticism. It's funny. They have built a defense mechanism that repels facts. It's amazing. It must be some sort of evolutionary dynamic that they've incorporated into their life. They're impervious to reason. It's amazing. We should study them. Anyway, I'll go on to wrap up with some of the medical reasons why these bitches are crazy. These bitches be crazy. They cluster be crazy, I assure you. And we'll go into some of that and talk about the social engineering. So it's, it's going to be fun, and we're going to pick on these people, but they deserve to be picked on, right? To be fair, if it was some, kid with a chromosomal issue, I would never be mean to them. It's not their fault. But liberal women with blue hair and septum piercings, they have nobody to blame but themselves. And they're fair game. And so we're going to talk about them. They are an active danger to this planet. I am not kidding. I mean, I am sort of kidding in the sense that I'm laughing about it now. We're still in the it's okay to it's kind of fun to make fun of it phase. But I fully expect that there will be a time that it won't be funny anymore. It'll be a lot of people, future generations, are like, why didn't you take care of this problem when you saw it? You knew these chicks were crazy. You knew it. And you encouraged it. You didn't stand up to it. You normalized it. You said, oh, it's fine. Stunning and brave. You guys are fine. Everything's good. No. This is totally normal to have a mental breakdown and film it and put it on TikTok. No. This is what everybody does. You had the opportunity, guys, in 2026 to put an end to this, and you didn't. You just let it go. And now we've got Kamala Harris Jr. is president or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. This is going to be bad. It could get bad. So I'm serious that they're a threat to humanity. And it is kind of funny still because, I don't know, I guess when I thought of threats to humanity, I expected like comets and locusts. I didn't expect Karens. But they're always in the last place you look, you know what I mean? So, but I honestly, I think this is an immediate threat. This is, for the record, I should say this. I should clarify. Liberal white women are an active threat to the Western world. They might not be an active threat to the world in general. Because you see, when liberal white women go to places like, oh, I don't know, Afghanistan or Iran or Iraq or someplace in North Africa where everybody is Muslim, they don't get to go around dictating their insanity to the people there. They throw them off of buildings there. Okay, they'll just kill you. Like, they're not interested in what Karen has to say about, it's very, the culture here in Mogadishu feels very unfair. Like, nobody cares. So the suicidal empathy that these women have is going to get all of us in the Western world killed, right? This is something that I noticed, that it's like there's a video out there I've seen on social media, and it's like, Gary's had enough, right? It was like some video. I don't know if the guy's name was Gary, but I think that's what it was. So it was like, Gary's had enough. And it's this guy, he's got to be like my age, right? Like in his 50s or something. And he's with his wife, and it's at night, and someone else is filming this video of some guy picking a fight with Gary. This is like some drunk guy is picking a fight with Gary. And Gary is just, at some point, it's like you've pissed him off too much. And he's like, no, you know what? I'm going to kick this guy's ass. So Gary, the old man, is out there laying a whoop ass on this young guy who started some shit with him. Just came out, gave him a hard time for no reason. And what happens in this video, and the point of the video is this. Gary, air quote Gary, whoever this was, his wife is holding on to his arm, going, no, stop, no. Don't ever do that. To women, I have some advice. Don't ever do that. Do not ever do that to your man who is in the middle of a fight. Do not grab his arm and tell him to stop. You're going to get him beat up or killed if you do that. Don't do that. Think of the logic of that. You're going to, make your man fight this guy one arm now because you're grabbing his right arm? Don't do that. It infuriated me when I saw this. You don't understand the gravity of the situation that your woman brain has put you in. Like, oh, you're just going to wave a magic wand and tell Gary to stop, and then it's all going to stop. What you don't understand is that the guy he's fighting is going to kick the shit out of him the second he gets a chance to. So all of you women that get around fights, and I say this as somebody who's been in plenty of fights in my bartending days, I saw plenty of it. The woman gets in fact, I'll tell you, I straight up had a situation where the woman jumped in front of the guy I was fighting, and I just took them both down. I just took them both down. And as I'm down, I've got my hands around the guy's throat. He was the bass player, Pennywise. I've got my hands around his throat. I'm telling the girlfriend, you fucking deserve this. I didn't mean to hit you. I didn't mean to tackle you into the bushes, but get the fuck off of him. Don't do this. This is crazy. So I have to say this because the video is infuriating. For all of you women out there if you wind up in some fight out there as you're walking through the parking lot of a gas station somewhere and someone winds up in a fight with your husband, don't grab his arm. Don't get in there and try and stop it. You will get knocked out. I have been in situations like that. I've been in a situation where the girl I was with tried to get in the middle of a fight and she got knocked out. Okay, it's really bad. So don't do that. This stuff, men and women approach problems very differently. Okay? And this idea that you're just going to explain it away in the middle of a fight, you're going to say, no, we don't want this. I don't want my husband to be in this fight. Therefore, I'm going to get in the middle of it and it's going to stop. That's somebody who's disconnected from reality, who doesn't understand how fights end. Right? This is crazy. So I see these women Most of the women I'm complaining about could never get a man. Let's be honest here. The Karens of the world, they're barely capable of functioning, let alone keeping some man happy, is off the table. But for those of you who are in a relationship with a man and you don't want him to fight, and he's maybe not a fighter, but winds up in one of these situations, I've seen it go wrong. I've seen it multiple times with my own eyeballs. It's always bad. But I think that this is part of the reason why the women that inject themselves into these situations, these ICE situations, they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand fights. They don't understand warfare. I mean, I don't understand warfare. I've never been in a war. But once you get in and you put yourself in a situation like, oh, I'm just going to go there and I'm going to slap those big bad ICE guys on the head with my purse and show them. Once the adrenaline kicks in when you're in a fight, anything is fair game. I'm just going to tell you right now, I can't believe that in the middle of the fight, that guy turned around and slugged that woman in the face 5 times. Well, get ready for it. Because when you've got the adrenaline pumping through you, you are out of your mind. You are out of control. So these situations are extremely dangerous. And the problem that I see, the reason why I'm talking about this, is that the people that are antagonizing groups to fight with ICE and fight with everybody on the street, they're women who are doing this. No man would do that. No man would coordinate that. No actual man. Maybe it's women and low testosterone soy boys who've never been in a fight before and don't understand the ramifications of this. They don't understand that during a fight, you can get killed. You can get killed during a fist fight. I heard a guy's head hit the concrete it was so gross to hear it. I had to turn because I thought I was going to throw up. As soon as my friend hit the guy, my friend was a bouncer. He hit the guy, hit him right in front of the cops too, right square in the jaw. That guy went back first into the asphalt. And you hear that thud. That's what can happen. That guy was lucky he didn't die. They took him out on a stretcher. He was unconscious. As far as I know, he wasn't conscious. I never saw him conscious from that point. So I say this as a warning. This is not a game. This is not something where the police just pull you away and put you in plastic zip ties and then put you in the back of like a squad car and then let you out a half an hour later. This is super dangerous, and these dumb, easily manipulated people in large groups are dangerous, and they don't understand. They don't understand what they're doing. Part of the reason why they're out there in large groups is because of some components of our mental makeup that maybe they're not familiar with. Something like the diffusion of responsibility. Now, I ask you, would you go in and loot a Foot Locker? Would you just on a Tuesday decide to run into a Foot Locker, grab as many sweatshirts and sweatpants and whatever you can, and then run out the front door? Would you ever do that? Answer, probably no. Right? What if you were walking through the mall and there were 100 kids and they all ran in there and did it at the same time and you were standing right next to it? You could easily run in there and grab whatever you wanted. Now, would you be guilty of running into a Foot Locker and stealing? Yes. But it wouldn't feel that bad because it wasn't really your idea and you weren't the only one doing it. And really, it's a crime, but you're only you're like 1/100th of the crime. So therefore, it's not that serious. And that's called the diffusion of responsibility. And that is a component that is weighing heavily when I watch what's going on out in the streets, and whether it's Summer of Love stuff or the looting of Foot Lockers or the looting of stores in San Francisco or everybody looting Apple stores or whatever. This is the diffusion of responsibility. This is why you can get groups to do things that they wouldn't do as individuals. This is caught up in the vibe, 15-second mentality. Like, you're not thinking about the future. You've got a room temperature IQ. You're barely thinking about what you're going to have for lunch. You're certainly not thinking about the repercussions of what happens if I get caught with this gun. You know what I mean? So we're also watching this and we're going, how would anybody put themselves in this situation? You go, well, you're looking at this through your rational, logical mind with a decent IQ. You're going, I would never put myself in this situation. Have you considered being stupid? Seriously, have you considered what if you were a stupid person? then would you do all these things? You're like, oh, well, maybe. It's like, yeah, see, now it makes a little bit more sense. Because it's tempting to go, I can't believe this is happening. But you look around, you go, I know that you're just saying, I can't believe this is happening. But can I ask you a question? Can you really not believe this is happening? Because the answer is, well, yeah, I guess I can believe this is happening. It's happening everywhere. And so the women that participate in this group, they are social piranhas, right? They are part of the diffusion of responsibility also goes in that, yeah, I'm going to eat you, I'm going to destroy your life, but I'm only part of the group. It's the million other people destroyed your life too. So I didn't really destroy yeah, I doxed you. Yeah, I sent messages to your boss saying that you were a Nazi online. But a million people sent emails to your boss saying that you were a Nazi online. So did I really do anything that bad? No, I'm a good person. I mean, after all, if we're all telling you that you're a Nazi, then we can't be wrong, right? Because we're all telling you that you're a Nazi. So you must be a Nazi. This is the crazy thought process that runs through their heads, right? In part, see, women, this is not meant to be a slam. This is sociological proof, right? This is a component of women and men are different. Women are consensus builders, right? Not outliers, not individualists, not typically, right? They need to find out what the group thinks about this or that. They don't even care what they think. It's if I think this, if I say this, what will the group think of what I say? It's how do I feel? Well, I don't know exactly how I feel until I know how the group would feel about how I feel. Once I know how the group would feel about how I feel, then I'll know how I feel, right? Because I could feel a different way. But if the group goes, I wouldn't feel that way, well, then I'm not going to feel that way. So the truth is, they don't know how they feel. They just know that they feel the same way as everybody else. So this is the blind leading the dumb. And, in this group, it's commies and Marxists, not capitalists and anarchists, right? These aren't builders. Capitalists and anarchists, anarcho-capitalists, are builders. They have vision. They see systems, they see inefficiencies in systems and want to fix them. They see the opportunity for brand new systems to be built and they build them. Leftists don't do that. They're destroyers. They're cultural destroyers. They're social piranhas. They tear you apart. They're not looking to build you up. They're looking to tear you down. They don't have anything going for them. See, if they had something going for them, they would be out of the fray. They wouldn't be wasting their time following ICE around and being observers. You know who follows ICE around and acts as an observer? Unemployed people with nothing better to do. You're not a fucking activist. You're unemployed. You're bored. You're a loser. You have zero going on. You have been weaponized to think that you are some fucking savior, but you're not. You're a loser. Everybody's laughing at you. Everybody's mocking you behind your back. We think that this is hilarious, that you're the last person to figure out that you're not a superhero. I mean, let's be honest. If you're coming to save us, we're in trouble. You know what I mean? Stay away from these women, right? Because they'll wreck your life forever, right? These are the type. This isn't the one that just like, oh, she said something shitty to me. No. These are the women who will destroy your entire life. Okay, let's talk about them. Okay, let's talk about the different breeds. Much like the alien races, like, oh, the blue chicken cult, right? I always laugh about Corey Good when he was coming out. He's like, there's blue chickens out there. Like, God damn, what a dumb lie. I mean, you couldn't have embellished just a little bit. By the way, Corey Good sued into submission for his bullshit stories. I wonder about so let's identify the first one, right? And this, again, this is, to me, in my mind, when I went to identifying the different breeds, it was like alien autopsy, essentially. Let's just lay these people out on the gurney and talk about them. All right, the first species that we've got, the first breed, I like to refer to as the blue hair septum. Yeah, everybody knows the type. You know what I'm talking about, right? I didn't even say I didn't say what color the person was. I didn't say what shape they were. You know exactly the shape I'm talking about. In your mind, you're already thinking about it. Nature's warning sign, right? With brightly colored hair and the piercings. In the animal kingdom, we have porcupines. We have very, very brightly colored animals. They're like, "Hi, I'm poisonous. I wouldn't eat me if I were you." We have the same in American Western society. We have the same thing. If you were somebody who was like a bird watcher and you had your binoculars out there, you would be in your clipboard, you would be identifying the blue hair septum. Stupid tattoos consistently. I'm not saying tattoos are stupid. I'm saying their tattoos are stupid. They're always in dumb spots. They look like they opened up one of those, those old timey like fake tattoo packs that was like you'd get them wet and then you'd stick it on your arm and it would be like, it looks like that. It looks like they're 4 years old and they put those wet sticker decals just in random places all over their body. Totally disjointed, no rhyme or reason, done by different artists, completely non-consecutive. Like everything about it looks disjointed. That's them. They're barista Marxists, right? Stripper Pol Pots. You know who I'm talking about. That type. Like the ones who are the ones who went to college and got the. Remember, I've talked about the degree, the actual degree in barista. Like I thought, I saw that. I forget which college it was. It had to be in the Pacific Northwest. And it was like barista studies or something, which is of course the butt of every joke, but it was funny because it was real. And that's kind of what I think of. I think like all the piercings, and they've got the cuck boyfriend. The cuck boyfriend who sits in the corner is the white gray, right? Like the soulless animatron who just does what he's told. He sits in the corner and watches his wife get banged by some other guy. That's the cuck boyfriend in this that breed would be the small gray, right? You're not even a tall white. You're just a small gray. Next breed, I would say, but the blue hair septum. We know that, like they stand out like a sore thumb. However, the Karen, the next breed, the Karen, her camouflage is way more sophisticated than the blue hair septum. See, the blue hair septums get picked off easily. They're obvious. You can see them coming a mile away. But the Karens are different. They have typically, if you get close enough to them, you'll kind of see it in their eyes. I would describe it as SSRIs. You know what I'm talking about? The SSRIs, you see it. Like the lights are on, nobody's home. Leave a message. Maybe we'll get back to you. But whatever you say can and will be used against you. They're definitely keeping track of that. But if you're expecting them to make sense of the things that you say, that's going to be more difficult. Right? They hear you. They're watching you. There's definitely human surveillance, the Karens. And they want to speak to the managers, about some injustice. But what's interesting a lot of the time is that it's not necessarily an injustice against them, right? It's just an injustice in general. So they have decided that they need to inject themselves into the situations to make it better for somebody else. Now, it would be one thing if the Karens of the world were simply reacting to a situation that you put them into. You get into a small fender bender, you hit the car in front of you, the lady gets out, she's flipping out, she's some Karen. God damn it, you hit me, one of those. That would be frustrating, but reasonable and manageable. You did something to her. She flipped out and wants to speak to the manager and goes off the rails, right? Still an overreaction, but you can kind of work it out because you were involved in a situation with them. Where it becomes more difficult is when they're angry because somebody, not you, did something to somebody else, not them. And now they have a problem for some reason with you. That's frustrating. That's really annoying. They make a big deal about nothing. These are the types that make a big... It is a big deal, even though it's a little deal. Everything is a big deal, even though it's really a little deal. These are the women who call the police because there's too many cars in the driveway at Thanksgiving, and they think that you're having a COVID super spreader event, and that they want to be the ones to set things right. Right. This is the Karens out there, the Karen breeds. You want to know an interesting tidbit? You'll know this if you work in an office. They love jury duty. Did you ever notice that? It's a small, very, very subtle thing, but you'll know this. There's a lady in my office when I was in commercial real estate. I've talked about her before. So funny. In my life, in my entire life, I've never once, aside from this company, yelled at a person that I work with. Like, raised my voice and yelled at them. On 2 different occasions, I told this secretary to shut the fuck up and mind her own business. And I yelled it in front of the entire office. I peeked my head up from a cubicle where there was a cubicle farm. I just have to tell this story because it was wild. I picked my head up from the cubicle farm and I yelled her name. She stood up. I said, "Will you shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch?" I screamed at her and everybody in the place looked at me and you just see her sit down. I was enraged. Now, the thing about this woman, first of all, I will say this. I will not apologize for my behavior because, like I said, I've never done this before. But on 2 different occasions, this lady she had it coming to her. I'll be honest, she had it coming to her. And I flipped out. But you know what I noticed about this lady? She was always trying to get on jury duty. She was my first Karen. She was the first Karen and you know what's funny? You know what she looked like? She looked like the secretary in Ferris Bueller's Day Off at Rooney's office. So picture that lady. I swear to God, it looked exactly like her. Picture that lady with the voice and everything, trying to lecture me about this. And then me just standing up and saying, "Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch." How old was I? My 27-year-old self standing up and doing that. My boss, of course, pulls me aside later and goes, "That was fucking awesome." Just to give you an idea of the insanity inside. That was the worst job I ever had in my entire life, was doing commercial real estate there. It was, I walked out of that job the day I quit. I walked out of the job with my box of stuff and I felt like, you know, that Nicolas Cage meme, the gif of him coming out from Con Air where it's like his hair is blowing and the sun's on his face and everything. I walked out of that office and I felt like I'd been released from prison. It was the worst job I've ever. But you got to have one of those. You got to have a terrible job. My boss was great. I'll say this right there. My actual boss at that job was fantastic. Every single other person in there was horseshit and they were awful. But you got to have that job and you got to have a Karen experience so that you know what to look for. And it reminded me that she was always trying to get on jury duty. You know why? Because she has no power in her real life. The only power she thought she had was to tell other people what to do. That didn't go so well with me, because I'm not the type to just sit there and take that shit from somebody. But a lot of people were. And for somebody like that, you take her out of the equation. You know the type that wants to be on jury duty so that they can have some power. That's the Karens of the world, right? I mean, I got called for jury duty a couple months ago and I was like, how do I get out of it? You know, so you're sort of either wired for it or wired against it. But I see something like that. This late. Now, by the way, had I magically transposed myself 30 years into the future in this commercial real estate office, I guarantee you this lady would have a big Stanley Cup mug on her desk as well. So if you see that, that's another one of nature's warning signs. When you see somebody with all the accessories and the bedazzlements on their Stanley Cup, you realize, well, I'm dealing with somebody who would most definitely have put me into a COVID vaccine quarantine camp or worse. You know, this is that. So remember that. Remember that. All these Karens out there, when you start to get a little bit sympathetic and go, oh, I shouldn't be that mean to them. I mean, after all, they're just people and everything. No. They would have put you in a concentration camp for not taking the vaccine, right? They are unable to manage their emotions. We see this. They lose it, especially if you challenge them on their dumb ideas. Ask somebody like, everybody's a Nazi. You're a Nazi. You're a fascist. Great. Okay, I'm a fascist. Define fascism. Crickets, right? Tell me what a fascist is. It's a Donald Trump. It's a Nazi. No. I need a one-sentence definition of what fascism is. I need that. They'll never give you that, right? So it's uneducated, emotionally unstable, language police. They're the ones that always want to tell you what you can't say, right? Oh, you can't say that. Right, those are the Karens of the world. There's a new breed. Let's move on. There's a new breed. Did you hear this? Oh, shit, man. This is maybe, you know how I hate acronyms? I might be willing to make an exception for this one. I may be willing to find a place in my heart for this acronym, this new one, because it is so perfect that I just have to tell you about it. The new breed of women, leftist women out there, is called AWFUL. 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 It stands for Affluent, White, Female, Urban, Liberal. AWFUL. Affluent, White, Female, Urban, Liberal. I told you I might like this acronym business after all. Coastal elite, overly educated, you know the type, wants to talk to you about women's studies. Hypochondriac, on the corporate ladder, worried that they're going to lose their job, freezing their eggs, because Jim in marketing might take my promotion if I'm out having a kid, which is, not for nothing, a real possibility. To be fair, that could happen. So these women are making calculations about their future life, dating through their 20s, not going to settle down in their 30s because they're climbing the corporate ladder. Hey, they get to their 40s and magically, it would have been nice if I'd gotten married and maybe had a baby or something like that, right? They mistimed that whole boat because they're on the ladder. And the deep the regret and sorrow that they have for this catastrophic mistake that they've made. They won't admit that they've made a mistake, of course. They just talk about girl bossing and how they're just living their best lives and how they don't need a man and any of this stuff. Maybe for some of them it's true, but for the vast majority of them, it's projection. It's deflection. It's anything that it's. Oh, I didn't want that anyway. It's like, well, you didn't get it. Well, I didn't want it. Well, you didn't try for it. Well, it's because I didn't want it. Well, it's because you couldn't have it. Well, I couldn't. Well, no, that's not what it was. I never wanted it. Yeah, you did. You wanted the man in your 20s. You wanted the man in your 30s. You pushed him away, though. You pushed him away. You made up a million reasons. He wasn't 6 foot. He wasn't making 6 figures. He wasn't this. He wasn't that. You were just going to hold out. And then you turned 40 and you realize, oh, shit. Nobody's in the market for 40-year-olds. I've made a catastrophic mistake. Now, rather than turn things around and desperately try to get yourself marketable for the situation that you're in, they don't do that. They internalize that frustration and anger and direct it at you, especially at men. They're angry at men, especially white men who are privileged, white men who have everything, white men who can be and do all the things that they wish they could be and do. I'm a white man. I don't know what it is you think I get some white guy card that I can flash and everyone's like, oh yeah, you can come on in. It doesn't work that way. The idea that, that the white men are keeping white women down is like nonsensical, or that white people are actively keeping brown people down. Like, I don't know how to break this to everybody without disappointing them, but it's like, we're not at a big meeting. I'll speak on behalf of the white folk here. We're not at a big meeting. We're not having the meeting. We're not talking about oppressing the black man. Like, don't flatter yourself. Like, I got other things to do. It's not on my list. Not that I could do it even if I wanted to. I don't want to. I don't need to. I just always laugh when people are like, oh, white man's out here oppressing us. It's like, dude, you're oppressing yourself. You by having that mentality, you've already oppressed yourself. By claiming to be a victim of oppression when you're just yourself, you're just existing in the world as yourself. When you start your narrative about who you are as a victim, you will always be a victim, and you don't deserve to be anything else, frankly. I mean, if you are an actual victim and you talk about it, that's one thing. But if you just, your default is to just pretend that you've been victimized by society and life, like most of these Karens do, lectures, never-ending lectures from the awfuls, the affluent white female urban liberals, lectures on equity, lectures on equality, and lectures on privilege, all from behind the guard gates, right? From the wall, behind the walls, behind the moats. They're going to lecture us on equality and how we all need to be the same. Well, guess what? We're not all the same. We don't look the same. We don't think the same. We don't have the same intellectual horsepower. We don't have the same ideas of what we think is culturally acceptable and what is not. So they think that they're going to, the awfuls out there, the women are malignant narcissists with a better than sense of self. They think that they are better than everybody else. We're better than the poor blacks, so we're just going to have to help the poor blacks. But, they don't know how to vote. They can't vote, everybody. They don't know how to use a computer. This is what Kathy Hochul in New York City, the fucking governor, is saying. This isn't me saying it. This is her saying it. You're like, holy shit, you infantilize these people so badly. You say, oh, they can't vote. They don't know how to get IDs. It's like, goddamn, if I were black, I would be super insulted that the liberal white women are like, here, allow me to insert myself into this situation. You see these darkies over here, they don't know the first thing about getting IDs or computers. Tell me, and then I'll regurgitate and tell them, because they're simpletons and they don't understand this. I have white savior complex, so I'll insert myself into this situation that doesn't involve me at all. I'll make it about me, and then I'll help the people that are less fortunate from me, who are simultaneously not asking for it, and once you give it to them, they'll fucking destroy you anyway. They have no appreciation for your help. So I just see this group and I think, you know what? You guys all go on and on about equity and equality. You have selective empathy, and it is always conditional. Oh, the poor people in insert place. If only they had some democracy here. What about the people down the street from you who are living in squalor, who are eating bugs and homeless, who've been living in their cars for years? What about them? I don't have any empathy for them. Their empathy is selective. It's not empathy for everybody in that particular situation. It's only empathy for a select group of people in that situation. People who are beneath them. People who are probably not the same color as them. People that they can say, oh, here we go, we'll help the poors. This narcissism that runs through all of them. Their pathological altruism and suicidal empathy will lead humanity into chaos. Into chaos. This we see, and we're seeing examples of their suicidal empathy right now with everything that's going on in Minneapolis. It's crazy. This eventually will lead to chaos. And then what comes after that? Order ab chaos, right? This is the direction that it's going. You awfuls out there are being used to destroy society, but you're so arrogant and narcissistic about it, you think it's all about you. You can't see the bigger picture. You don't see that you're being used, which is perfect. With these women, there's a massive case of social media confirmation bias that is based on their current algorithms, the feeds that they're getting, the echo chamber that they are in. I don't want to say it's not their fault, because it is ultimately their responsibility. But when your algorithm is showing you one version of reality and that's all you see, and your friend group is also part of that and that's all they see, and the only thing you talk about are the things that you see on social media with your friends, and the only thing that they talk to you about are the things that they see on social media, it becomes this very dangerous feedback loop where everybody in that group believes that they are operating in reality. But it's such a curated and specialized version of reality that it isn't real at all. And they don't have any sort of perspective on this. They can't pull themselves away far enough to see the bigger picture. They're just trapped in it, in this echo chamber on social media. That's just constantly telling them over and over again what they want to hear. Everybody's a Nazi. Everybody, their worldview is 100% curated by big tech. And if they did the Bill Hicks thing where they opened the window and stuck their head out and heard the crickets, it would blow their mind to know that this isn't reality, that the things that they've been talking about with their friends forever, it's not real. It's confirmation bias. You guys are all smelling each other's farts. And this is the problem here. But these women, these petty tyrants in yoga pants, these with an inflated sense of self and delusions of grandeur, are nothing more than spoiled, entitled brats with an unearned white savior syndrome. They think that they are coming to save the world. Now, if you believed that you were coming to save the world, you operate a little bit differently. There's a little bit of attitude that comes with that, right? Get out of my way. I'm going to Minneapolis. I'm going to stop ICE. There's an attitude that comes with that. It's delusional, of course, but you have a sense of purpose. You have a special purpose, Nathan Johnson. You finally found your special purpose. It's to get out in the street and be a part of LARPing like you're a revolutionary. Che Guevara in Minneapolis, completely detached from reality. So it's a necessary component for the awfuls. They have to be really kind of detached from normal people's reality, right? They don't interact with the poors. They're like leftists on left coast, coastal elite types. The New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco types. The types the snobby types that look down on you. Oh, these people are less than. So they get this very weird white savior syndrome. We're like, you know what this situation needs right now? A white woman to come in and fix it. That's what it's missing. It's missing this white woman. Nobody asked you to come to fix this problem, which may be a non-problem or it may be a problem of their own making. Nobody asked you to fix it. And by the way, as soon as you, air quotes, fix the problem and leave, they'll turn it back into what it was before. You know what I mean? We've watched this. There's just, some people can't be fixed. And, but I'll tell you this, there is a social hierarchy here. Like I would say that the bored, lonely hags, like the Karens of the world, they aspire to elevate themselves to the level of awful, right? That those women have attained. The level of awfulness, both in reality and in acronyms, that these women have attained, right? So it's like on the low end, it's like the blue hair septums. It's like just riffraff, not doing much. Then there's the Karens of the world, and the Karens have jobs, but the jobs are like secretaries or like not high level jobs, just the jobs that very low management, that kind of busybodies make sure that they nitpick everybody else and tell them that they're doing everything wrong. And then the level above that are the awfuls. And the awfuls are the women who are actually, the awfuls are the women who are sitting in the Jaguar meeting saying, you know what we need? We need to reimagine Jaguar as a car company, and we need to bring in a bunch of trannies and put them in the ads. That's what's going to sell these cars. The women that are in that group, the ones that have high paying, like actual jobs, those are awfuls. Yeah. I feel like we're classifying them by like species and genome. And like, I feel like we should bring in like a scientist who like with a flow chart, and we could walk. Well, we'll work on it. There's still time. There's still time to map this whole thing out. But the hypocrisy of the left really knows no bounds. I mean, that ultimately is what we're talking about here. It's a hallmark feature. It's not a bug, of course. It's like you have to be a full-blown hypocrite. You have to do one thing and then actively complain about the other. You know, you have to just be and not only a hypocrite, but unable to recognize the hypocrisy when it is brought to your attention. You have to have, because to be a true leftist, it would never be a situation where I say, where you do something, I go, you're a total hypocrite. You do X, Y, and Z. And they go, oh yeah, you're right, man. I shouldn't do that. That would never happen, right? So because that's not a leftist. So you can be a hypocrite, but not be a leftist. The hallmark function of being a leftist is that I find you doing something massively hypocritical. I then point it out to you in excruciating detail, itemize it, and show it to you. And then you deny it to my face like it never happened. That's leftism right there. That's the real component, because normal people would go, oh yeah, you just presented me with this hypocrisy that I can see. That's a bad feeling. You're right. I can't be in two places at the same time. Maybe I should change my position. And by the way, you are always allowed to change your position on the way you feel if you are presented with new information that is better than the information you were working on before. In fact, that is the goal, is to be evolved and to be able to allow yourself to say, I believed this in the past because I was at this place in my life and I had this information, but now I have different information. So I believe different things, not because I just gave up on it, but because I was presented with new information that made me feel differently about that. There is nothing in the world wrong with that. In fact, I hope more people will do that when it comes to things like this, the topics that we're a bit unsure of at times. It's okay to say, I don't know it all. I don't have every last detail of this buttoned up. I'm working on what I've got. But when you come across people who are unwilling or unable to ever admit that they're wrong, it's very frustrating. And that's what this group, the hypocrisy of the left, it's not just that their ideas are stupid, which they are. It's that they will defend them to the death. Even when you present them all of the information, it's just this, God, I mean, I guess I wish I was as committed to something as they are. They're just willing to ride this all the way to the end. So they'll march for reproductive rights. This is just as an example. They will get out in the streets and march for reproductive rights. We don't want Trump telling us we can't, I don't know, have babies or whatever. We want to be able to have babies whenever we can. By the way, nobody's telling them they can't do that. This is all in their heads. They're imagining this. They dress up like Handmaid's Tale and they wear the outfits and they go and march and we're marching for reproductive rights while simultaneously pushing chemical castration on children with Lupron, which is used to castrate sex offenders. So it's like, do you understand why it's hard to take you seriously? You want reproductive rights while you're chemically castrating children. Sorry, I'm not. You may be right in your belief for reproductive rights, but you nullify that by having such a shitty take on everything else. It's hard to take you seriously. It's like when they're like, we got to stand up for Gaza. It's like, yeah, it's the only thing I agree with you on. Unfortunately, the rest of your takes are such ass that I can't even agree with you on this. Because I know that you're going to find some way to fuck it up. You're going to be like, stand with Gaza, so that we can vaccinate them. And you're like, oh, God damn it. It's just refusal to shut down the southern border, right? They refuse to shut down the southern border. We can't do that. While also denying and marching and saying, please stop trafficking children. Please stop raping and trafficking children. What do you think's happening at the southern border? You're out in the streets marching about stop the trafficking of children. Where do you think that's happening? So it's like you can't reason with them. Again, this is a hallmark trait of this is that you have facts, they have feelings. And in their mind, feelings trump facts, because who cares about all those numbers and stuff, right? This is how I feel about it. I feel like ICE shouldn't be beating that guy's head in. I feel that way too, but I feel that way because I have a long list of facts. You feel that way because you woke up, went on Facebook, and a bunch of leftists were saying something, and then you just bought into it. You don't even know how you feel. There's a weird focus on oppressed strangers from foreign lands, but zero care about actual oppressed Americans in their country. So it's like you're an American white liberal woman, right? What is your priority? Is it helping other white liberal American women? No, it's helping military-age fighting men from Sudan who can't read, don't speak the language, eat goats, rape children, and don't give a flying fuck about you. That has turned into their priority. They've been mentally broken. They have been brainwashed into hating themselves. They hate themselves because they're white. They have massive white guilt, which is quite a tactic to get people to hate themselves. You really have to. So it's. Here's the problem that a lot of them face, and I don't blame them for having a problem with this. It's the conflict. They're very conflicted. And when you're conflicted on the inside, it makes you feel like you're going insane. But they're very conflicted because they know that they are losers. They know that they don't have much going for them. And yet they suffer from unearned moral superiority. So they believe that they are superior to everybody else. But when you examine them, they haven't actually done anything. That's kind of an interesting fact, a trademark of it. It's like they're out in the streets, they're mad, they're ready for change. Okay, what on your resume makes you a prime candidate for getting things done? What have you done in the past that makes me believe that you are going to be one of the change agents moving forward? And I look at their proverbial resume and it's dog shit. They've done nothing. They haven't had a job. They don't work. If they have a college degree, it's in 17th century women's lit. It's nothing. They've done nothing. They have no accomplishments. They have nothing to hang on to. And it's got to be frustrating. And by the way, the ship has sailed for having assets. By the way, if you're in your 20s and you don't have a house now, sorry, it's gone. Unless something where the financial system is completely reimagined, which it may be, that boat has left the dock, and a lot of people aren't on it. So there's this real frustration and to be fair, that's a valid frustration, I believe. But you've got all these people feeling like there's no world left for them here. I get that. But the hypocrisy of this is so frustrating that it is impossible to ever take them seriously. It's like they hate America so much, but they stay and vote and want you to vote and tell you who to vote. They hear you got to vote for this guy, and if you don't vote for this person, but you hate America. Well, why are you doing the performative steps of voting for your leader? They haven't figured that out. So they attack men for being toxic. It's toxic masculinity. Oh, those men are all toxic to me. No, those men have made an informed calculation and decision that they don't want to have anything to do with you. They're not toxic. They're wise. They're staying away from you. You're incompatible with logic and reason. They see that as a red flag. Like, well, men these days, they're all just so toxic. So you want to what? Take the masculinity out of them? Mission accomplished. Have you seen the soy boy beta males out there? Bunch of slack-jawed faggots. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't know what happened with the soy and the atrazine and the feminization and the social contagion and the massive amounts of pressure, but men these days are a bunch of bitches. In fact, I almost don't blame the leftist women. If you can get your animatron boyfriend to turn into a gray and sit in the corner and watch you fuck some other guy, then why would you have any respect for him? So I mean, that's not toxic masculinity. That's a person who needs masculinity. The masculinity is not toxic. Being a vegan beta male is toxic. I mean, they don't look healthy. They don't look well. They're not well adjusted. These women suffer from terminal white guilt combined with a lot of free time. You take those two, you put them together, it equals trouble. Like Renee Good, the ice dyke found out. What did she do? She dropped my kids off at school. I guess the kid that I have left, since the dad took the other kids because they're domestic issues and whatever. So drop the kid off at school. I still have a couple hours before, I guess I could go work, but nobody would hire me. So I guess I'll just go fight with ICE. Oh no, ICE shot me. I can't believe ICE shot me. Well, really? You can't believe it? You put yourself in a situation. I'm not saying they should have, and they're awful. I have no love for the state goons, but when I see disgusting leftist assholes agitating low IQ state police, ICE agents who got the job simply because they were showed the sort of psychopathy that the IDF likes to train. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? I file this under, oh well. Yeah, you went to an ICE rally, you started fucking with the agents and somebody shot you? Oh well. Isn't it awful that they got shot? Yes. Those ICE agents should not be shooting people. That is 100% true. It is terrible that they are out there shooting people. I can have that thought and also have the thought of don't show up to these events if you and agitate and fuck with the police if you don't want to get shot. I just don't have any fix because these bitches fight dirty and are vindictive. Most important rule to understand the leftist Swiss cheese mind is that feelings trump facts. We've talked about this often, but it's very important that people understand that because you'll make a mistake of thinking that you're going to get into some discussion with one of them and that you're going to drag statistics and information and dates and times and people and places and all that into the conversation, and that's just not going to work. I can tell you because I've done it. It's just not going to work. And you're going to leave that conversation going, holy shit, like they are impervious to facts. It's quite something. It's amazing. So know that going in, right? And empathy, but only for those who stay on script and firmly remain inside the herd, right? The leftist women out there, they have a ton of empathy for you, right? When you're in the group, but the second you move outside of it, you're the enemy. And that is some deep hardwired behavior that our brains are working through. You live in herds, you work in herds, you leave the herd, you open the herd up to danger, you open yourself up to danger, and people get very angry at that. When the leftists see people, when they see the crab leaving the crab bucket or they see somebody leaving Plato's cave, they don't like that. It reminds them that they're not doing that. It reminds them that they're weak, that they don't have the guts to do those things. So instead of being inspired, so you could see somebody leaving the cave, the proverbial allegory of the cave, right? Leaving and coming back and telling you it's different out here. It's different than what you thought, right? And there's two ways you can go with that. You can say, tell me more. Tell me more, my friend. Or you can say, go away. I don't want to know. I'm comfortable in my reality, go away. So with the leftists, with these tactics, you need to understand that if you leave the herd and go back to rescue them, they will not be welcoming your return. Okay? They don't see you as somebody coming back. They don't see you as one of them coming back to get them. They see you as somebody else. As soon as you leave, you're out. You represent a threat to them. You show them everything that they are not, and they don't want to be reminded of that. They don't want you around them. You remind them of everything that they can never be. You remind them that you're brave and that you left this nonsense and that they're not ready to do that, or maybe they'll never be ready. So that's why when people like stop smoking crack cocaine, you can't hang out with other people who are smoking crack cocaine. They don't want you there to remind them that you're sober, that they're not sober. Right? You start to bring them down. That's why drug addicts hang out with other drug addicts, for one of the reasons. You don't have the sober guy sitting there going, boy, when are you going to turn your life around? That could bum you out. He's not going to be part of the group. So when you leave the leftist herd and get some clarity and decide to come back to rescue them, don't expect smiles. Don't expect that. It's going to be failure to embrace the new thing will result in expulsion from the safety of the herd, from the Borg hive mind. You have to go away. You are opening them up to the possibility of danger, and in doing so, you're the threat. Because not because you've seen the light, but specifically because you've seen the light and they haven't. So, but here's what they'll do. So you need to understand, like, it's one thing if you get into an argument with somebody who just calls you an asshole, flip you off in traffic. When you get into an argument with leftist women, they fight dirty. They bring different tactics to the table. This goes back to the fighting. This goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. Probably because they haven't been punched in the mouth. There's that old saying, everybody's got a plan. Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Right? And so it's the people who are talking to you about bringing down the government and stop the patriarchy and fighting ICE and everything. The people are out in the streets wanting the fights and the protests and everything. The common denominator running through all of that is that they've never been in a fight before. They don't know how scary it gets. They don't know how it's not like you see in the movies where a guy gets punched 3 times in the face and then the other guy walks away. If the guy punching you decides he's angry enough, he will punch you 100 times in the face and you die. Okay? So the idea that people that are they're coming up with these tactics, but they've never been in a fight themselves, makes me extremely dangerous. It makes them extremely dangerous. Doxing, they love that. Tell everybody where you live, right? They want to go to they want to call and get you fired. They want to go to your boss. They want to tell them about what you're doing. They want to get you deplatformed if they can. They want to contact your sponsors. If you're somebody that's got a show like mine, they want to come out and contact. I can't believe you would say that. I'll contact your sponsors. Whatever they can do. Financial ruin, lawfare, it's all on the table. They'll call for violence because they don't understand violence. They'll call for violence because they're not going to be the ones bringing the violence. Bring some leftist blue-haired weirdo who's going to come out there and what? She's going to throw rocks at you? No. I mean, this is obviously these people are LARPing. They're pretending to be revolutionaries. When the bullets start firing, they're going to piss their pants, right? They will find you and record you in public, record public displays, targeting the person. They'll swarm you. They'll show up in large groups to your house. They'll, hell, it's not limited to leftists. To be fair, it's not limited to leftists. You could be the offensive coordinator of, say, the Philadelphia Eagles, and have your house egged by a bunch of lunatics, which, by the way, did happen this season. So it's not limited to just leftist women. I mean, this could happen to anyone. But there is definitely a tactic, and there's a way that they behave. There's a method of operation, a modus operandi. They argue with you. You'll notice this. This is a tactic that they use. See if you can incorporate this into your life, and if you've had an instance like this. This is really fun. They'll argue with you. They will demand that you provide an itemized chronological list of all supporting evidence on the spot, then dismiss everything that you claimed when you're not able to do that. That's a tactic that they love to use. Oh, really? I've done that? Well, tell me all the times I've done that. And you're like, it's been a lot. Well, give me 9 examples of it. It's like, I'm not going to give you 9 examples. Oh, see, it didn't happen. None of it happened. You're making it all up. That's a tactic. So again, if you know what the tactics are, you then can be prepared in advance. So if you're not ready for that and somebody pulls that on you, you go, what the fuck? Like, I want to strangle you for trying that horseshit tactic with me. But they will do that. That's how they operate. They are the worst people around. Liberal white women are the worst. They really are. They're extremely dangerous. In part because they don't necessarily always look dangerous. And they're chameleons, you know? You never know. You just never know. But anyone who disagrees, here's a hallmark trait of anybody who says, no, you're wrong, and disagrees with their position on social or political topics is immediately labeled as dangerous, a Nazi, mentally ill, fascist, domestic terrorist, a threat to democracy, an anti-vaxxer, an anti-science person, or a climate denier. That's what you get. You get any of those lists. Anybody who disagrees with their position, it used to just be, you're wrong, or I hate you, or you're an idiot, or you're this or that. But when they call you a domestic terrorist, that is extremely important because that is a legal definition. That's not, it's just a slur. No, these days in the aftermath of the Patriot Act, it can get you killed. But of course, they don't care. They don't care about the repercussions. When it comes to leftist women, the strategy is ready, fire, aim. Okay, they don't think these things out too much. They vote as a block for things like soft on crime policies and woke district attorney weirdos like Chesa Bowden, who then release repeat offenders onto the street for them to commit more crimes. And this is called pathological altruism. They're so concerned with taking care of the dregs of humanity that they're willing to let people who do not deserve a second chance, by the way, out of prison to commit more crimes. And then when they get caught after they were let out of prison early and committed the same fucking crimes that they were doing that got them in prison in the first place, what do the leftists do? Do they recognize this? Do they acknowledge this? No. They never acknowledge it. They pretend like it didn't happen. So that is something you have to be aware of. You have to be, because, when you're having a discussion with a reasonable person, you can say, well, look, the guy was in jail for murder. You let him out. He went and murdered somebody else. You don't think that was a mistake? A reasonable person would say, yeah, that was a mistake. I can still be compassionate and I could still want people to get second chances, but that was a mistake. You cannot get a leftist to admit that was a mistake. They just go, and they just short circuit. They don't have an answer for it. Does not compute. So, if you're against the invasion of military-age fighting men into your country, then you're a racist. You're a MAGA Nazi. Who doesn't support rapists and, the mentally ill and other illiterate travelers who've just magically appeared through some fucking portal at the southern border, and now they're in your country. It's like, we have to embrace everybody. All people, all human beings deserve love and compassion. Go sell that shit somewhere else, man. Nobody's buying that. You sell that love and compassion when you're picking the guy out of the lineup who raped and murdered your daughter. Yeah, you tell them thoughts and prayers, man. Hey, just get over it. We just have to be a melting pot here. Don't worry about that. By the way, you've seen the videos. You've seen the man on the street videos. Like they're doing them a lot in London, which was great. Oh, you're here for the protests. You want to let more foreigners into our country. Yes, we need to let more foreigners in. Yes. Oh, okay, great. Would you be willing? I've got a clipboard here. Would you be willing to give us your name and address? We'd love to put one in your house. Oh, well, you see, I don't really have the space here. Tally ho, chip. Well, you see, I can't really make it these days. I would love to, but unfortunately I can't. Every single person was the same thing, right? You can watch. It's a compilation video of them asking like 100 people. Literally the same answer. Oh, well, I can. It was like in the funny British accents and everything, cracking up, right? So they're super duper compassionate but they don't want to actually do it themselves. They love immigrants. They want all the immigrants to come to the country, just not in Martha's Vineyard. You know, when crime and drugs go through the roof, they'll manipulate the data. Just like the police chief of Washington, D.C. did. Remember that? They're not going to fix the problem, right? What is the problem? The problem is there's too much crime and drugs here. What is the solution? What's the reaction? Do something. What's the solution? Fake all the numbers. You go, wait, I'm sorry, what? The reaction to there's a spike in crime and drugs is to change all the statistics? The answer is yes. In Washington, D.C., that's what they did. So again, the leftists aren't looking for solutions. The solutions that they provide are things like fudging the numbers and making it so that when people are being booked into jail and get the mugshots and everything, when they're clearly black or Hispanic, we'll put the ethnicity as white. These are the actual solutions that they have to the problems that we face. So, because listen, when you are operating in a world of my truth, air quotes, then reality is whatever you say it is. And that's where we are. They never suffer any of the consequences of the policies they advocate for. Not once. All right, let's wrap up with this. What caused the switch? Well, this is a case of multiple contributing factors, you know, but it's hard to say it was any one particular thing. Things that did not contribute to the actual problem are whiteness, the patriarchy, and climate change. Okay, I assure you that those things actually played no role in the problem. They will tell you that they're all the problem, but they're actually not. It's really not. I think if we're going to be honest about where the problem lies, let's talk about the fact that 1 in 5 Americans is diagnosed with a mental illness. Let's talk about that. Let's start right there. When I say that leftist women, white leftist women are crazy, I don't mean that in some flippant, pejorative sort of term. I mean it's a measurable observation. They are off the charts with their mental health. 57.8 million people in America are suffering from mental illness. 57 million people. That's quite a few. There are medical reasons that these bitches are crazy. And I mean, these bitches, they cluster B crazy. I want to say that, you know, I have big problems with the pharmaceutical industry and they play a role in this. Okay. So I am willing to this if this is a pie chart where we're allocating blame, it's not all necessarily on the women because some of them are so screwed up by pharmaceuticals that they don't even know who they are. Birth control pills. 65% of American women are on birth control. This is a massive problem. It scrambles your head. It's not good for you. Vaccines, COVID and otherwise. We know that the leftist women love vaccines. They love them. Rudolf Steiner 100 years ago talked about a vaccine that would disconnect your soul from your body. And in the aftermath of COVID, when you look into some of these people's eyes, you see it's the SSRIs, and it's an indicator that you are dealing with somebody that is not high functioning. Maybe they were, maybe they used to be, maybe your Aunt Susie used to be reasonable, but you can see it now. Something has changed. Something has turned in them. They're not the same. And the vaccines played a role in that. I can't say that they're the only contributing factor. And that's, of course, the way that the pharmaceutical industry works, is that it is really impossible to say that any one thing is. Because when you've got Americans on 8 different prescription drugs and they have a reaction and everything goes wrong and you say it was that drug, the lawyers for the lawyer for that drug is going to go, well, what about the 7 other drugs? I mean, how do you know it wasn't them? So everything is a contributing factor. So SSRIs, 50 million annual prescriptions for SSRIs in the United States of America. 50 million. These things are not good for your brain. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors is what they're acronym for. And they screw with your brain's chemistry. They make you crazy. They're supposed to be for people who are crazy to make them not crazy. But when you're taking it and you're not really that crazy, it makes you crazy. So look, I'm all for biohacking. I love that stuff. I'm interested in improving my health and looking for things that I can do better. So it's not that I'm against chemical enhancements or anything like that. It's just that you've got to be honest about it. And you've got to look at who's making it and what they want for you. If you're going to the pharmaceutical industry and you're getting yourself, and look, a lot of these women are on all three of these: birth control, vaccines, and SSRIs. And if you're on all of these, I mean, good luck to you. You really aren't operating anywhere near full capacity, and you might not even be operating in reality at all. I just don't know. I'll put it to you this way. If I knew somebody was on birth control pills, vaccines, and SSRIs, and they wanted to drive my kid around, I wouldn't let them. You know what I mean? 95% of college counselors said that mental health concerns are growing. I'm curious about the 5% who said they aren't. 50% of college students consider their mental health, quote, poor. Half of college students consider their mental health to be poor. You remember when you were a kid and people go, "Are you in college? Hey, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Fine. How you doing? Hungover, missed class, whatever." I would never have considered my mental health to be poor. In fact, I don't know, in the years I was in college, I don't know anybody who I would say in my school, in my group of friends, whose mental health was poor. If your mental health was poor, you wouldn't be in college. You'd be getting help for your mental health. You know what I mean? The last place you would be actually is college, where you're going to be around a bunch of other people who now apparently half the people you're around are going to have poor mental health. So don't go to college because you're going to be bummed out. You're going to be around a bunch of losers who are questioning their sexuality or gender or whether they even want to be here. There is something known as cluster B personality disorder. Okay, I've kind of joked about it during this episode. There are types of cluster B disorders. There's 4 different types. And I think that when you are looking at sort of classifying these dangerous white liberal women, this is something that people need to take into consideration. They need to know that sometimes the women that they see on social media or on their TVs or whatever are quite literally mentally ill. Okay, types of cluster B disorders. Antisocial personality disorder. This is, you will notice things like violating the rights of others, lack of remorse, impulsivity. It's called antisocial personality disorder. The next type is called borderline personality disorder. This is also impulsivity, a feeling of emptiness, and instability in most relationships that people have. So you may be dealing with women that have this. They may have something known as histrionic personality disorder. This I think is a contributing factor for some of these women. Attention seeking, overly emotional, need to be the center of attention. Does this start to say, all of a sudden you're going, oh shit, we're kind of diagnosing on the fly here. This is starting to make a little bit more sense. And last on the list, narcissistic personality disorder. This is a lack of empathy, superiority, and entitlement. So I wonder about this. I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, nor would I want to be. I think the industry of mental health classification is horseshit. It's filled with a bunch of quacks and fake doctors, in my opinion. I think that the whole industry is just a scam. But there are people that have mental health problems. That is undeniable. And a lot of these women are suffering from cluster B personality disorder. And it makes them feel the need to be the center of attention. It makes them overly emotional. It makes them lack remorse and be impulsive and feel some sort of superiority and entitlement and to have an underlying lack of empathy for other people as well. These are dangerous women. And it's tempting to think, oh, only men are dangerous because men go into battle and men get drunk and beat up women and stuff like that. Yeah, for sure. Men are most definitely dangerous. But if you are letting your guard down because you are of the belief that women can't be dangerous, then you're opening yourself up to some vulnerabilities. I think you need to be aware of that. Social engineering always plays a role in mass movements like this, the mass movements that the leftist women are getting involved in. The Kalergi plan is real. We know it. We've talked about it here. We know who's behind it. We know that this social engineering is being done on purpose to convince white women to hate themselves. You convince white women to hate themselves, they'll take it from there. They will hate themselves better than you've ever seen anybody hate themselves in their lives. I mean, they will take it and run with it. So all you need to do is put that bug in their head that maybe you're not worthy. Maybe you should go to the back of the line and let somebody else be at the front of the line for a while here. Maybe you should feel this. You should internalize this guilt. Let it fuel you for the rest of your life. Let you feel like you owe somebody. You owe everybody, even though you don't owe anybody anything. You'll feel as though you do for your entire life. You'll be miserable forever. If you can get them to believe that, they'll destroy themselves. So, now questions on social media are coming up. Do we need to re-examine the 19th Amendment? I mean, should we be letting women vote here? I mean, it's obviously that people are doing it. They're coming over the top and being funny about it and being shitty. I don't think anybody's actually talking about repealing the 19th Amendment, but you do need to realize that people view things differently. I mean, men see things from one angle and women see things from another. And the idea that when women are advocating for violence, I get very scared because they don't understand it. When I see the Jacinda Ardern's of the world and the von der Leyen and the Angela Merkels and all of these people talking about how we need to start World War III, extremely dangerous. When these women talking about it, they should be taken off the stage and put in straitjackets immediately. So, I don't know. Maybe landowners from now on. Maybe landowners are the only ones that can vote. Maybe we'll go back to old school time. You ladies are too easily manipulated by your emotions. You're too arrogant to ever admit it. Maybe we have to make some changes here. The good news is that you can see these crazy broads coming from a mile away. Treat them like rabid raccoons and stay as far away as possible. Nature gives you warnings if you have the eyes to see it. Hey, if you like this episode, you can take the additional step right now of sharing it with your friends and family. If you want to connect with me, macroaggressions.io is the place to do it. Hey, rate the show. Give us 5 stars if you think we've earned it. Thanks, everyone. Talk to you again soon.